Welcome back, warriors. It's me, Linda B. Thank you all so much for joining me here today. Today, as you can tell by the thumbnail, we got some more business to visit with Kamala Harris's family. This comes by way of Candace Owens. Now, I don't agree with Candace on everything, okay? I realize there's some things going on over her way, but I thought that this information was so interesting, just like the previous video. And I was like, oh, I just got to do a live on this one. So here I am doing a follow-up to the previous video that was talking about Kamala Harris, because there's a lot of question marks. And Candace went deep into documentation and records and newspaper clippings, just the whole deal. Marriage licenses, birth certificates, death certificates. Looks to be like they are really doing some really in-depth research. One of these days I'll get there and I'll have my own research team. But hello, everyone. Hello, Iron Ear. Thank you so much for being a faithful warrior, Iron Ear. Thank you all so much for joining. Blessings. Hello there. You watching me from Australia. Oh, how wonderful. Just welcome everybody. So we're going to be talking about this Kamala Harris. I know I do a lot of videos on her, but as a content creator, I'm sure you guys realize we have to do what's trending, right? So this is out there and it's trending. And so I'll be doing video on it live today. And it is like, wow. And I'm trying to keep up with all the craziness. Wait a minute. How can this be her grandfather if, all this kind of stuff? So, or how can that be her grandmother? It's crazy. Hi, Jennifer. Hello, everyone. Hello. Yes, we got rain. Yesterday and today we got rain. Nothing too crazy, just rain so far. Now it's supposed to come through at about 2 a.m. where I am. It's supposed to come through at about 2 a.m. So we're just, since it's only raining right now, I thought, okay, what the heck, I'll do a live. But if the weather gets crazy for some reason, I just click off, you know why. Okay, it won't be for it without a good reason. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and do a prayer as I normally start off my lives with a short prayer. I'm not too long-winded. I'm not long-winded at all. And then we'll get right into the video. Dear God, in the name of Jesus, we come before you, Father. We thank you so much for being an awesome God, a good God. You are so graceful and loving and kind to us. I pray that our focus is on you where it should be, and that we are about your business, that we surrender, that we give up our way for your way. And we pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, told you it's short and sweet. So we're going to go ahead and get right into this video right now. Hope everyone's doing well. Hello, Nathaniel, Michael. Hello, Michael. I always see you there. Poco Paul Ball. Hope I'm saying everybody's name right. Forgive me if I did not. Please forgive me. And so I am going to go right into this right now. You guys, it's just crazy. So let's stay tuned. Hope you're sitting down. Here we go.
Well, where should we begin? You guys have heard of whitewashing history, but have you heard of blackwashing? Blackwashing is when you're a politician and it's election season and suddenly you have to relate to Black people. So you just sort of start making stuff up to blackify yourself, your history. You start dropping a bunch of slang and colloquialisms and hoping that the people will therefore understand you. Honestly, it's become something of a democratic rite of passage. Except this time, I think we may have caught the culprit red-handed. Of course, I'm speaking about Kamala Harris. I think her and her campaign team are...
Okay, let me just pause on this picture right here. Doesn't she look crazy right there? I'm sorry. I'm going to get back into the video. She looks psycho right there. I'm just saying. Okay.
really going to regret the day that their media henchmen came for Janet Jackson. Welcome back to Candace.
I love her little opening. Look at her. She looks so cute.
I'm literally buzzing with excitement right now for what we just discovered. Obviously, we are running a little bit late today, but as I said, it will be well worth the wait. So yesterday, we were getting closer and closer, asking questions, obviously, about Kamala's genealogy. If you need to go back, you can do that. Begin with episode 70 and work your way forward to see how this mystery has unfolded. So we were left with some major holes in Kamala's genealogy. We had from her father, Donald J. Harris, that he grew up in Jamaica and was raised by his grandmother, Miss Iris. He effectively wrote an entire piece about his Jamaican heritage and really focused on his grandmother, like she is the person that made the most difference for him. He honorably mentioned Miss Iris's husband, who he only referred to as Mr. Christie, and remained conspicuously silent about his own mother. How do you do that? How do you just say one sentence about your mother, refer to her as Miss Beryl? And I want to be clear, you're writing this for the population, right? You're talking about your heritage. Even if you called your mother Miss Beryl, you would probably, for the sake of wanting people to be clear on who you're referring to, list her full name. He didn't do that. He just said one sentence. This is not to, ignore my mother, Miss Beryl. And that was it. And we know that her full name, according to her birth certificate, is Beryl Magdalene Finnegan. And we know that at various times she took on the middle name Christie. He also mentioned in that piece that his father was Mass Oscar. I guess, again, that is kind of a slang way of referring to his father. But I was completely stumped. I was completely stumped as I was looking further into this because I could not find a marriage record between his father, Oscar Joseph Harris, Miss Oscar, and his mother, Beryl Finnegan. Like, this is something that to me seemed really odd. And some people who wanted to rationalize it were saying, oh, no, that's just how things were. And sometimes people didn't have record. No, I wasn't buying any of that because we were dealing with a family that had money. It is just a fact that Kamala Harris's family descends from slavers. They were given money for their slaves. Somebody did the calculation essentially for that day and time. It would have been $11 million that they inherited for their slaves once it was abolished. It is why when he speaks about his Jamaican heritage, he speaks about them as having owned stores, right? So this is not your typical Black story that we're referring to here. And so I expected very much for there to be a record of marriage. Oddly, as you guys will recall, any records that I did find suggested to me that Beryl may have been the domestic help, who may have also given birth to a son named Donald, born in 1938, who died before he even turned 2. So that was very strange.
Oh, wow.
Question marks. We were like, okay, we're seeing this Beryl, we're seeing this Donald Harris.
Okay. Death. So this son, Donald, supposedly died before he was 2. It says Donald Harris, male, infant, 1 year, son of Albert Harris and Planter, fever and cold. Interesting.
We're seeing that an infant died. What's really going on here? Why is it starting to feel like a scary movie? But of course, we want to rationalize it ourselves. Like maybe it is just a coincidence that another Beryl had another Donald in 1938 in St. Aaron Parish, and we shouldn't look too far into that. What we knew for certain was that Beryl, the correct Beryl, was married at the age of 25. So Donald Harris, who was presenting as Kamala's father, would have been 6 years old. She got married to a man named Lawford Newland, who he has completely erased from his childhood historical account. When he wrote this piece, he did not mention a Lawford Newland, a stepdaddy named Lawford Newland. And that was odd because then it would suggest that she would have had to have married his father, Oscar Joseph Harris, after that. So have the kid, marry someone else, and then go back and marry your baby daddy. I don't know, but I needed to find some records. We also couldn't find a divorce record, by the way, between Lawford Newland and Beryl Finnegan. Where's the divorce record? We did see that he went to America. We searched there. He went through New Orleans. We went through California. We just could not find anything. And in my view, there were too many holes in his account, numbers that he got wrong about the siblings. I just felt that there was a secret here. So I decided that we needed more information specifically about Donald J. Harris himself. And we couldn't find a birth certificate for him.
I'm not into this whole race thing, but I thought this was interesting about what Candace is bringing up. When I look at him, this is supposed to be Kamala Harris's father. I do see a mixed race person when I look at him. Um, he tends to look a bit Indian, some kind of Southeast Asian, and some black, maybe. He looks mixed to me, so I don't know.
Which I flagged as odd. And I also wanted to find that marriage certificate between his father, Oscar J. Harris, and his mother, Beryl Finnegan. That was crucial to me. So here's what we stumbled upon. More information about Donald J. Harris appeared to us. This is going to get crazy, you guys. I'll tell you how we put this together. Through old Jamaican newspaper clippings that have been digitized. So first and foremost, this one fact checks, but it was a little bit of tidbit of an information that I thought was interesting. It was a wedding announcement that was published in the Kingston Gleaner. That's the name of the newspaper. It was published, as you can see here, November 1st, 1963, which just announces the wedding of presumably Kamala's mother, as we're told, Shyamala Gopalin, to Donald J. Harris. It reads, he is the son of Oscar J. Harris of Spanish Town and Mrs. Beryl Finnegan. Okay. It writes before leaving, it says before leaving Jamaica in 19, and can you pull that up? Because I couldn't read it for clarity. But it says before leaving Jamaica in, it looks like maybe 19, I don't want to guess it. Mr. Harris worked for the Jamaican Information Service. Okay, what is the Jamaican Information Service? That's what I asked myself. What is that? I'll tell you what it is. The Jamaican Information Service is an executive agency of the government of Jamaica that is responsible for disseminating information. It used to be known as the Government Public Relations Office. It says that to achieve its objectives, the agency utilizes a broad range of media skill sets: print, radio, television, graphic arts, video projection, and public relations. It was established in 1956. Okay, so now we know before he left Jamaica, he worked for the government. So he's got some connections in government. And he's not the only one, because that newspaper article goes on to inform us that his bride, who we're told is Kamala's mother, is the daughter of Mr. P.V. Gopalin, the Deputy Secretary of the Government of India. So she is also connected to the government of India, and her dad is the Deputy Secretary of the Government of India. That's just a thing that I think is important to know, that these two people worked for the government and they came together and they got married. Now, we still could not find a marriage record between these two, but it may be plausible that they got married somewhere else, but at least we see the announcement. So I thought, now let's focus on his father, right? I'm looking for something to attach Oscar to Beryl, presumably, if this is a family that is important enough to have wedding announcements in the newspaper. Maybe we will be able to stumble upon something between Oscar and Beryl. Now, I want to remind you that Kamala brought up Oscar J. Harris, her grandfather, in her book, and she reveals a picture of him on page 282. So I'm going to show you that right now. It reads, when I was 10 months old, I visited Spanish Town, Jamaica. This is me with my mother and my paternal grandfather, Oscar Joseph. So we know his name is Oscar Joseph Harris, and we know that that's what he looks like thanks to Kamala Harris's book. Great, love that. So I looked him up, and at first the father came up for a bankruptcy hearing announcement. This is dated, by the way, March 11th, 1939. So this would have been 1 year after Donald was allegedly born. It just reads, in the matter of bankruptcy petition against Reginald Victor Harris, Oscar Joseph Harris, and Newton Alexander Harris of Brownstown in the parish of St. Anne, trading as Harris Bros, take notice that the above named intend to apply for the revocation of the provisional order of bankruptcy made against them in this honorable court on the 6th day of January 1939. Okay, so we know that they were apparently going through some bankruptcy proceedings, and they were fighting those bankruptcy proceedings. They were going to stand against them. It also, but what's relevant there is that we know it's him because it lists his brothers. It lists that they're from Browntown, and we have fact checked that genealogy. So this is the correct family. This is the grandfather that Kamala is referring to in her book. Here is where it is going to get crazy. Buckle up. I really hope you guys are sitting for this. He came up again, and fortunately, it was for a wedding. Unfortunately, it was not for a wedding to Beryl. Instead, just like Beryl married somebody else, apparently he married somebody else. Now, this clipping is from June 9th, 1952. Look at this. It says, Oscar Harris weds Vioris Cambridge. Now, I want you to look at this photo, and it certainly looks like, and I know it's a shadow on the left-hand side, but I'm going, that looks like the picture. You can tell by that balding pattern of the person that Kamala has presented to us as her grandfather. And he looks mixed race to me, but that woman on the right looks white to me. Now, I know you're going, Candace, that's crazy. It's a black and white photo, but there's a certain way when you're photographing a black woman that she comes across, and that ain't it, my friends. But again, that was a theory. Let's read the article. It reads, Vioris Cambridge, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. V.S. Cambridge of St. Elizabeth, that's another parish in Jamaica, became the bride of Oscar Harris of Browntown, St. Anne, at a beautiful ceremony in the St. Andrew Parish Church, Halfway Tree, on Thursday last night. Her slenderness enhanced by a gown of white nylon and chantilly lace. The bride, carrying a bouquet of white asters, was given in marriage by her father. Her only attendant, her sister, Carmen Cambridge, wore a gown of aqua nylon and chantilly lace with a bouquet of pink rosebuds. The best man in the ceremony, performed by the Reverend Grant Levi of Montego Bay, was Mr. Newton Harris, brother of the groom. During the signing of the register, Mr. Gene McDonald sang, I'll Walk Beside You, and Because, at a reception held at the home of the bride's uncle on Chester Avenue, Mr. Milton Hamilton was master of ceremonies. I just went, what the heck is this? First and foremost, how odd that Donald J. Harris, as he's recollecting these memories from his childhood, now has left out the part where Beryl married someone when he would have been 6 years old and would have been his stepfather. But he's also now leaving out the fact that his mother similarly married someone when he was a little bit older. I mean, that his father similarly married someone when he was a little bit older, and that woman, at least according to my eyes, appears to me to be fully Caucasian. But I said, that sounds crazy. Let me see if I can find this woman, Vioris Cambridge, by a quick Google search. Like, where? That's quite a different name, Vioris. I've never heard it before. Certainly something's going to pop up, and certainly just one thing did. And it was
I just want to say the name Vioris. I have never heard that name before. It reminds me a little bit of Iris, like Vioris. But anyway, that is a strange name. I won't say strange. I've just never heard of it.
Funeral entry of a white woman who died in Broward County. And what I noticed about this entry was that it was very scant on details. I'm going to show this to you. Okay. Vioris Anita McPherson, it says. And I'm looking at that face on the left there, and I'm going, I recognize that face. This woman looks familiar to me. Am I crazy? Are you guys seeing this? She looks a little bit like Kamala Harris. There's something about the smirk. I don't know. Am I crazy? So I said, let me not jump to conclusions. Maybe I am just so down far the rabbit hole that I'm seeing Kamala's face. So I read this entry, and it says, it is with great sadness that the family of Vioris Anita Harris McPherson Cambridge, in parentheses, so we know that that's her maiden name right there, announces her passing on Saturday, June 15th, 2019. She will be lovingly remembered by her children and spouses, her grandchildren and spouses, her great-grandchildren, cousins, nieces, nephews, and friends. We will celebrate her life on Saturday, June 29th, 2019 at 10 o'clock a.m. at Christ the Rock Community Church. It gives the address there, and it says where they will immediately follow at a reception hall. In lieu of flowers, donations may be made to the Alzheimer's Foundation in memory of Vioris Harris McPherson. So nothing given to us there, literally nothing given to us about our family. Have you ever seen that? Usually survived by a sister, a cousin, a brother. I went to see if anybody posted anything. It says she has a really big family. I was like, okay, well, certainly somebody would have posted on the board. People do that all the time. I'm so sorry for your loss. Love you. Cousin, I'll see you there. Hug, kisses, nothing. Very weird. I then tried to look this woman up in Broward County records, and it just looks like people are trying to protect who she was. It doesn't tell me who she's married. I don't see anything there in Broward County. It just says an entry for a marriage that took place in 1994. And I also see that she's got another name there, McPherson. So maybe she got remarried. But it at least tells us that her birthday was October 7th, 1927. So I thought to myself, can I find a woman, a white woman who was born in Jamaica with that exact birth date, with that exact name? It's, like I said, a very different name, Vioris. And the answer is yes, we did. We were able to locate her birth certificate. And now we know why it said that she was married to V.S. Cambridge. It had listed her father as V.S. Cambridge, Mr. and Mrs. V.S. Cambridge. That's because her father's name is Vivian. Her mother's name is Adina Wright. And here you have it, born in Elizabeth. St. Elizabeth is... here she is. This is this woman, Vioris Cambridge, born to Vivian Cambridge and Adina Wright on October 7th, 1927 in St. Elizabeth, Jamaica. What the hell is going on? Who is this woman? Why hasn't this been mentioned? Why does it feel like this profile was being very hidden? And again, as Donald was jumping in to his family background and speaking about how Jamaican it was, why didn't he mention this? Why didn't he mention this woman, his white relatives? It might be relevant when we're having a discussion about Kamala's race to mention the fact that your dad married a white woman. I'm just saying, here's another picture of her. And there's something familiar about her smile. There's something familiar. I'm looking at this woman, I'm going, this woman looks to me like Kamala Harris. Now, something even weirder, the person who did create something for her online, okay, who created a profile for her on Ancestry.com, look what he put in the middle of her name. He lists her name as Vioris Anita Iris Cambridge. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. So we looked into this briefly. And again, all of this has transpired within the last 4 hours. So we are not as organized about this, or I shouldn't say, we are not as certain about this, but it looks like the person who made this entry was a member of her extended family. It looks like she got remarried in 1994 in America and that's where she picks up the name McPherson. And that individual put Iris in quotation marks. Is it possible that Donald J. Harris, when he's fondly remembering Miss Iris, could be speaking about this woman? Yeah, it's possible. Everything's a possibility. Like I said, he's very scant on the details here.
And I just want to pause just to thank those for the super chats. And thank you guys so much for that. You're amazing. Appreciate that.
What we do know is that he declined to mention this woman. He declined to mention someone that his father married who was completely white. And as I said, I wouldn't have an issue with this if people were forthcoming and spoke about this. The press, as you're out there referring to Janet Jackson, is crazy, right? For suggesting, what did Janet Jackson say? She said that she heard that Kamala's father, Donald J. Harris, was Irish. Can somebody pull up that picture of Vioris again? She heard that his family was Irish. I think Vioris, maybe Vioris Cambridge, might be Irish. Was she so crazy to mention that, press? Or would it be so crazy if you guys did your actual job and looked into these things as opposed to constantly trying to obscure things to protect your preferred candidates because you believe she should just be handed this? Now the question is it possible that the woman that we're looking at right there is Kamala's grandmother? Is it possible, based on the records that we have, that Beryl and Donald never did marry? Is it possible Beryl and Oscar, never did marry? Is it possible, is it feasible that marriage never took place and they both married two different people, and that instead at some point when they decided to blackify Kamala's history, they included this Beryl as her grandmother? Is it possible? I don't want to go too far down conspiracy lane, but I'm telling you that we're close here. This is a big missing piece of her family history that should have been mentioned. Okay. And I find it highly suspicious. I do not think that we have answers still on who Donald Harris is. I do not trust him. I do not trust him just having discovered this information and realizing that he left out 2 significant marriages and is instead focusing on Kamala's great grandmother, referring to her as Miss Iris. Who is Miss Iris actually? I can tell you that, again, we came across all of this in the last few hours, but we're going to stay on them, because now that we have found this piece and we have found this white woman, and again, I'm not trying to call her out for being white, but I'm just saying that, like, she is a white woman. She's very white. And Janet Jackson was not crazy to suggest this. And now we know that somebody is putting her in quotation marks as Iris, and a picture is starting to come together. Let me say this. If, and I'm not saying this is true, but if we find out that that woman is Kamala's real grandmother, and can we get a side-by-side of Kamala? If we find out that that is Kamala's real grandmother, and that she decided to appropriate the domestic help who potentially died younger as her grandmother, we are watching one of the most diabolical political moves that we have ever seen in the history of this country. I just want to say that. I'm not saying it's true, again, but I'm saying that I don't like the picture. I always find that the dog that isn't barking, the fact that they never mentioned these marriages, the fact that they laughed people out of the room when they suggested that Kamala Harris could be white, and the fact that they just refused to mention any aspect of this and are remaining hush-hush on it, doesn't make me feel good. I don't trust these people. There's something about Kamala saying she's in these streets that doesn't make me feel that she's being honest about who she actually is. I'm not going to let go of this. Again, we are getting closer and closer, and I will bet you the DNC is paying attention to this show now. All right, guys, before we cover some.
All right, so that's the end of that. Now, I have some questions myself. Okay, so that woman, Iris, was born 1927, Vioris. That's supposedly Kamala's grandmother, but her father, Donald, was born in 1938. That would only be 11 years later. So that doesn't mesh, that is her biological grandmother. Not if Donald J. Harris is her actual father, which it seems he is, then that doesn't make sense that his mother would only be 11 years older than him, because her date of birth was October 7th, 1927. He was born 1938. Now, I know they started young sometimes. Yeah, I know. That's 11 years. That means a 10-year-old girl is walking around pregnant. Unless I missed something, unless I did not put that together right. Because she's saying that could be Kamala Harris's grandmother. Well, then Kamala Harris's father was born in 1938. So that's only, like I said, that's an 11-year difference. I know sometimes it happens young. I know Aretha Franklin had a baby at 12 when they did that movie about her with Jennifer Hudson. She supposedly had a baby at the age of 12. I cannot fathom a 10-year-old walking around pregnant. So that is a little tight. You know, but then again, back in those days, they were a little off. When people were born, they would get those dates off a little bit. So maybe that could explain it. But you guys tell me what you think, because am I losing it? Or I'm not sure who the boy was. His name was Donald as well. So that's weird. I don't know. Some other things are going to be coming out. I'm following this. I'm going to do this on my lives. That is insane. Some people can be mean. So yeah, that looks like there was an infant that died before the age of 2. Yeah, people can be a little nutty. Yeah. Yeah, we have to question everything. It can be shady, because I just know a lot of older people say things like they are not quite sure the exact date they were born. Like my own grandmother, my maternal grandmother, they had her as being born in like 1922, but she would always say she was born in 1920. She would say she was born in 1920, and she had to wait for her Social Security 2 years later than what she thought she should have waited. So we were kind of like, people's birth dates were just a little off back in those days. Yeah, and yes. So yeah, yeah. Records were just off back then. And a lot of people were born using a midwife in their home, and things were just not kept up with very well. And I've seen this happen multiple times. But again, this woman who Candace thinks might be, because she put the picture of this woman, Iris, next to Kamala Harris, and she's saying there's a resemblance. I guess I could kind of see it, but you can kind of see resemblance in people that are not even related to each other. Let's just be honest. But that 1927 to 1938 is throwing me. Okay. But again, like I said, maybe the dates or the years are a little off. They could be 2 to 3 years off. And it wouldn't be so unfathomable for like a 14 or 15-year-old girl to have a baby, really, really young. But with 11-year age difference, that just seems kind of unheard of. But that's just my thinking. That's just my thinking. I'll just follow Candace. One of these days, I'll get my own researchers and I'll be on top of the game too. But I thank you all so much for joining me. Well, so you saying that was a strong resemblance. I mean, I guess I could kind of see it, but I'm saying that whole 1927 and 1938, that's like really, 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 really close. But I get it. I get it. Sometimes people have babies young and the years could be off a little bit. It is a mystery. It is a mystery. Now, this is weird. And Barack Obama got some issues too. He got some issues with his family. He's got supposedly a brother out there named Malik, allegedly. He's got a brother named Malik that's saying some things. I'm just going to be careful because, and all of this is allegedly, guys. I don't know this to be true. This is alleged. And I'm not saying it's true. Because I don't know. I just know Candace, her team appears to be coming up with some really good information. And I just thought it would be very, very interesting to do a live video. But you guys, don't forget to like. Don't forget to smash that like button. I keep forgetting to remind you guys to smash the like button. So please smash like, comment, share, and all the things. I really appreciate you guys joining me. I do my videos at 4, 6, and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I typically don't do any videos on Saturday. And also, I just want to remind you that, I attend a Messianic synagogue, right? So there are some biblical holidays coming up, and I will be observing those holidays. And I wrote them down here. I just don't want you to be like, how come she's not doing a video today? I know I've got some feast, the Feast of Trumpets coming up. We've got, Yom Kippur, which is the Day of Atonement. And so I'll just let you guys know I can't find it written down right now, but I do celebrate those holidays. So just coming up in the month of October, if I'm not doing a video on a day that I normally do a video, just know that I am celebrating a biblical holiday. We've got Feast of Trumpets. We've got Feast of Tabernacles. We've got the Day of Atonement. So just let you guys know, but don't forget to smash the like button. Thank you guys so, so much. And I appreciate you supporting me on my way to 100,000 subscribers. I really just share my videos because you know how the algorithm can get on conservative YouTubers. So I could use your help on that. But thank you for joining me. Don't forget to like, and you all be blessed. Love God, your families, these United States of America. And as I always say, march on, warriors. Good night, everybody. Good night. Have a blessed day. Blessed night. Good night.